Does everyone know what time it is? Toilets to Titles is proud to present Title Time. And here's your hosts, Rich, George, and Jason.
Good morning and welcome to Title Time. I'm your host, Jason, and with me, as always, are my guys, Frito Bandito and George. How are you guys doing this fine Sunday morning?
I'm doing good. A little tired and stuff like that. Stayed up late watching the new series, but that's on another day. So ready for some week 8 football. Pray to God we don't have no more injuries and stuff like that, and maybe some people are coming back, so makes life a little bit more easier for everybody and enjoyable.
Well, you know what else makes it easy is not having any bye weeks in the middle of the season. This week, more than anybody else, more than anything else, it's nice not to have byes. So if you do have injuries, at least you have all your teams. George, how are you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Let me tell you, as the guy who does the notes for this show, I have a very deep appreciation for teams on bye weeks, because that just means there's less games that I have to do research for. So, no, let's have some more bye weeks, please.
Well, yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, for notes, but, as a fantasy player here.
I mean, listen, like if we didn't have to watch the Jets and the Giants today, like, are we really missing out on football? I don't think so.
I mean, look, I'm a Waller owner and a Breece Hall owner. Yeah, I'd miss out.
Same here, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It does. It really, really does. All right, we're gonna bring in. Toilets Titles has two co-founders. I lovingly refer to them as Dad and Mom. Well, okay, but I lovingly refer to them as Dad and Mom. And Dad is in posting, and Mom is in the background waiting to get brought on. So I'm going to bring Mom on. Justin, welcome to the stage.
Hey,
a beardless Justin.
Yeah, you like that? We had 3 co-founders, by the way. Stepson Nate.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but yeah, I like the Miami Dolphins back there. I like the decision. It was a good choice to go up high with the both of them.
Yeah, so what Justin's referring to is this background behind me. I was debating on doing the Miami on top, Dolphins on the bottom, but I decided to put it both on the top. I think that was the correct decision. The wall's coming along. I got some brackets. I just got to quit being lazy and put some shelves up, and then I can put some more stuff behind me, but it's coming along slowly but surely.
All right. Well, before we get started, I do want to tell you guys a couple things we got going on here at Toilets Titles. One, I want to bring up that we have a Patreon, and again, our Patreons start at $1.50 and go up from there to a level where George will come over and make you some egg drop soup. Yep. We've got from $1.50 all the way up to you can't afford it anymore, but we have a range for every salary. So with that, you would get our waiver wire show. We have all kinds of giveaways that we do, and we do our giveaways in our Gilded chat, it's kind of like Discord, but better because we're in it. So Gilded chat, we talk about football with over 250 football fans all the time. You get full access to us in the Gilded chat. In the Gilded chat, there's a separate Patreon group where your questions get answered faster and a little more thorough. Although, I'll say we are the group that gives you the most access in fantasy football because we're in there. Somebody's in there all the time. And then I'm not sure who put that up, but thank you. We are doing a giveaway for a Yeti cooler. It's a little too small to read all of that, but if you join our Gilded channel, you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you complete the 3-word phrase. 1 word of phrase will be spoken each of the following episode on 11/7, 11/14, 11/21, and that's on our Toilets Titles, like our Tuesday night show. You got to email the phrase to toiletstitles@gmail.com. Comment on each of the 3 episodes. The winner is going to get announced on 11/28, but it is a really nice Yeti cooler. I was thinking about quitting the show, applying to be a Yeti, to get the Yeti, and then coming back to the show. But Justin told me I couldn't come back.
Big assumption that you would be able to come back. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful Yeti. And just throwing it out there, if I win the Spooky Squares on Monday night, I'm going to pay the first $30 to help fill the Yeti for the winner. So you got to be rooting for me to win on Monday night.
But also, if you're a Patreon member, as I was talking about, if you're a Patreon member, whoever is a Patreon member and does all the above, you still have to do all the above. You get 1 entry per Patreon tier. So, for example, if you're a tier 3 member, you get 3 entries. If you're at the level where George comes and makes you egg drop soup, you don't need this Yeti because, well, you're rich. So
we discussed it on the Friday show. If you're at that $1 million tier, while I'm making you egg drop soup, I will bring you a Yeti cooler. So you don't even have to do the rest of the stuff. You're automatically going to win it.
Fair point. If you're $1 million Patreon member, I will bring you a Yeti cooler and pretty much anything else you'd want. So
it's the least we can do.
Because we want to see your house.
Whoop. All right. Okay, there we go. It helps when 2 of us don't hit remove at the same time. All right, and with that, I do also want to mention that we're sponsored by Rival, and I do see Justin coughing down there. So as soon as he's done with that, I will let him discuss Rival Fantasy. I didn't mean to go into that when you were doing that, Justin.
That's all right, man. It's unreal. This cough has been going for over 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, something like that. But anyway, joinrival.com/title tribe. That's our sponsor for our the gambling site that a lot of us have grown addicted to. So it's kind of like fantasy football, but it's sports betting. So it's fantasy sports betting, totally new evolution in sports betting, completely different bets than your DFS lineups and all the stuff that you're used to. They found creative ways to bet on fantasy football. So that's joinrival.com/title tribe. The first $200 that you deposit into your account is matched, plus an additional $25 just for using that link right there. So fun stuff.
All right. And we can do some more of our housekeeping a little bit later, but I want to get into some of these comments that we've got so far this morning. Let's see. My son says he's first. He's all excited. So good morning, Eli. Thank you for joining us.
Jason, he's the first comment, but he's also first in our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least in mine, I would hope that you guys.
You've met my kids. There's no way.
Okay, so my son's first in your heart too. Got it. Uncle Steve says, "Good morning, kids." It's interesting to still be called a kid, but I guess that fits. Let's see. Peter Sandoval says, "Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you guys too."
Good morning, Peter.
Coach says, "My guys, and go Cowboys." And, before I take another comment, before we get into the actual questions, I do want my normal Sunday morning question. I'm going to start off with Mom here. Mom, what is the game you're looking forward to most this week? And we're not, can't be the Colts.
Yeah, I like narratives and storylines, so I'm interested to see the battle of the New Yorks. They only get to play each other like once every 8 years to be able to have that New York. I know
they're not even from New York. What the heck? Can we just call them the Jersey Jets and the Jersey Giants? They don't even play in New York.
If they called themselves the Jersey Jets and the Jersey Giants, I'd say the Battle of Jersey, but they don't. They call themselves the New Yorks.
They're lying and they're frauds.
Okay, well, sorry. I thought it was my turn to answer the question. Go ahead, George.
George, go ahead.
Oh, no, let Rich go. I'll go last.
No, he just wants to go again whenever Rich is supposed to go and then go last.
So, actually, my game of the week, and it's probably going to – I don't know if it's going to be a boring game or not, but I'm excited to see Stroud against Bryce Young today. Texans and the Panthers are playing and stuff, so – Bryce being the number 1 overall pick, number 2. Stroud was the second QB got off the board and everything, and initially in the draft, everybody was talking about how he was going to drop because of his scoring and something that they do. And who looks better, Stroud or Bryce, and stuff like that. So this is the game where, Bryce has an opportunity to show everybody why he was picked number one, but it's another opportunity for Stroud to say, hey, y'all missed on picking me,
Yep, that's going to be a fun one too.
Yeah, so the problem with going last all the time is mine always gets taken, and I was gonna say, like, I'm picking a crappy game so that nobody else here is gonna take that one, and then Rich went and took it. So I mean, looking at the slate, to be fair, most of these games are crappy. George, go ahead.
So everybody likes a good snow game. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen the weather in Denver, but before we came on, Adam Schefter tweeted a video of the snow covering the field in Denver right now. So I want to see that Chiefs-Broncos game. Like, I know the Broncos aren't any good, but it is a division rivalry, and anytime you can get a game in snow, I'm all for it.
And snow is a great equalizer in games. That's going to just naturally help keep the game close. If you're the lesser of the two teams, especially if the majority of your team is offensive, like the Chiefs are, then I mean, it definitely could be a close game.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Pacheco today with snow on the ground, and then against Denver, obviously. So like that's two huge things going in that favor. But I was gonna say the Vikings versus the Packers because it's a division game and a rivalry, and two teams going seemingly in opposite directions. Because I assumed the Rams Cowboys would have already been taken by the time I went, but now you guys left Rams Cowboys for me, so that's the one I'm looking forward to. See if that defense can get right against the Rams. See how well Puka and Kupp again today, and then see what they do with their running game. But I'm really looking forward to that Cowboys Rams, and I love that the Bucs have already played, even if they lost. I love that they've already played. I don't have to watch that. I can watch 4 games at once, not worry about having to watch one that I really care about. So big weekend of football for me, so I'm excited. All right, guys, we are going to get into some of these questions here, and then George talking about his notes in the private chat. Let's start here. Chris's videos, and now he didn't say whether it's a PPR, so we're going to assume half PPR, guys. Mostert, Olave, or Javonte Williams?
I go.
I'll let Rich go first. Sorry.
No worries. Javonte's going up against Kansas City Chiefs and everything, and sneakily, they're always good every year. Everybody always talks about how, maybe not so much, but they're all around pretty good, decent team and everything as far as on defense. Olave, we all know the incident that happened this past week with him getting arrested for speeding. 30 miles over a speed limit. It wouldn't be bad if you're thinking 65, 75, but when a speed limit is 35, maybe still not bad, but maybe a little slap on the wrist. But all that being said, I'm going Mostert. I'm going to take the running back in this situation. They got a good matchup, and he should be back to his normal self. Had a little bit lower game last week.
George.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go with Javonte Williams here. I like what he's been able to do. He's been getting better and better as the season has gone on. Last week, he had a season-high 12.6 PPR points. He also had season-high touches in 18. But the problem is 2 weeks ago, week 6, Williams only had 10 carries for 52 yards against this Kansas City team. Now you add in the fact that there's snow. I do believe that does benefit the running backs. But I think you're going to see a little bit more Jaleel McLaughlin eating into some of those touches that would normally go to Javonte Williams. The Chiefs defense is just a really good defense against the run. Excuse me, they've only allowed 3 touchdowns to running backs this season, and only 3 running backs have scored more than 9.9 points against Kansas City in 7 games. I'm agreeing with Rich here. The play is going to be Raheem Mostert at home. The Dolphins are a different team at home. They score a lot more points at home. I expect the Dolphins going to be able to put up some points on New England today. I'm going to go with the number 3 overall running back, Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, and then not to mention Mostert, you're right. They are at home. They're a different team at home. But even on the road in week 2, Mostert had 121 yards on 18 carries. He had 2 touchdowns, 25.7 PPR fantasy points. So I don't care if this is PPR, half PPR, or full PPR. I think it's Mostert by a mile.
Well, and then I'll make it unanimous. And this game also has the highest over under. Miami has the highest implied team total. Like they have, it looks like they're slated to score 27 points, and the Patriots are really bad against the run. So I'm going with Mostert as well. Uncle Steve is asking Higgins or Foreman in a full PPR. Justin, I'm going to start with you this time.
Higgins or who?
Devonta Foreman.
Oh, yeah, I like Foreman this week. They said that he's going to get a very heavy dose, and he's playing against the Chargers, who we know are bad at football and coaching. But Higgins, I mean, I like the fact that the Bengals are coming around. I like the fact that the offense is rolling. Even kind of like the matchup. This is a good question, but it's Foreman for me. A tie goes to a running back, and I think it's even a little bit less than just a tie.
George?
Yeah, so T. Higgins hasn't scored or topped 2 receptions since week 2. He's averaging 29 yards per game. There's no way you can play T. Higgins at this moment. Even with them coming off a bye, even with Joe Burrow getting better, there's just no way I'm going to trust T. Higgins against the 49ers. Give me Devonta Foreman. Yes, Rashawn Johnson is back, but Rashawn Johnson couldn't overcome Khalil Herbert as the starting running back, so I don't expect him to do too much damage to Devonta Foreman. Last week, Foreman looked like a bell cow with 19 touches. He had 3 catches on 5 targets, so Badgett is leaning on Foreman in the run and the passing game. And they're playing the Chargers, who have allowed a running back to score at least 13 PPR points in all 6 games this season. It's Foreman.
I will say that number 2 wide receiver spot is kind of the weak spot in that San Francisco defense. Yeah. But even with that, like even if Higgins scores a touchdown, I'm still thinking that Foreman's going to outdo him.
Rich, you agree?
Yeah, look, Georgia hit it on. I mean, how do you not play a man that scored 3 touchdowns last week? I know he didn't have much competition there and stuff like that. And Rashawn's back. Look, I do expect him to work him in and stuff like that. And once Khalil Herbert comes back, but this is the week he played Foreman one more time. Look, he showed it last year when he has the opportunity and stuff like that. He will put up some stats for you. And he, like I said, he does have a great matchup and everything. Do like Higgins. It just Justin hit on there too. Look, for me, tiebreakers always go to a running back in most settings. So,
yeah, I mean, for me, it boils down to even when Higgins was 100% healthy, it's not like he was giving you any fantasy goodness. So, like, coming first game back from injury, you don't know how fast they're going to work him in. And again, it's against the 49ers, and the 49ers defense hasn't looked like the 49ers defense in the last 2 weeks, but after today, we'll know whether or not that team truly was a fraud that were playing above, playing above their level the first several games, or if the last 2 games have been a blip. But I do think you can't play T. Higgins on his first game back, especially when you have somebody like Foreman, who Rich alluded to, scored 3 touchdowns last week. How do you sit that for somebody who's barely scored it all this year? So 100% agree with you guys there.
One last thing I'm going to add to that real quick is, look, guys, Badgett, it's hard. I can't remember his name. I only know him as T-Bag and stuff like
T-Bag.
that.
Just call him T-Bag.
He's going to be at the Helm at QB this week. So another reason why to lean on Foreman, because they will run the ball with him.
Yeah. I do want to mention we made the joke a lot last week, and the Raiders did get teabagged, so there is that. My son says I love toilet time, and he's not lying. He spends 20 minutes in the morning every morning, so he does enjoy his toilet time.
Like fun.
Yeah. William says happy Sunday. Duarte says good morning T2T.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of our Sunday morning. And then Purdy or Goff. This one seems pretty straightforward to me. I'm just going to say Jared Goff. He had a bad week last week. A lot of teams do against the Ravens. I do look for a bounce back this week. Purdy's looked bad the last 2 weeks. It could be a get right game for Purdy, but coming off, this is the first time I think all season we've had a guy in the concussion protocol and he's actually played the following game. So apparently quarterbacks get healthier from concussions faster than everybody else.
So he is definitely in.
He as of yesterday, I saw that he cleared the concussion protocol and he'd get the start. That was a sleeper announcement yesterday at some point. So, but does everybody agree with me here, Goff or Purdy? If you do say yes, and if not, we'll discuss it.
He's playing against the Raiders, so yeah, play golf.
Yeah, he's not playing the Ravens this week, so
and he's also playing at home. Golf on the road has been pretty bad. He's scored 16 points or less in 3 of his 4 games away from Detroit. But at home, he scored at least 20 fantasy points in all 3 of his home games. The Raiders have been great against opposing quarterbacks the last couple of weeks. They've held future Hall of Famers Jordan Love, Mac Jones, and Tyson Badgett to 14.5 fantasy points. So good job, Rich. That 85 Raiders defense showed up, but they got to step up in competition this week with Jared Goff. And I expect Jared Goff to finish as a top 10 quarterback this week.
So a couple of years ago, did anybody think you'd hear the phrase they've got to step up in competition with Jared Goff?
I've always said Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback. I've always said that.
Praise. That's high praise. That's Jared Goff. He's not a bad quarterback.
He's not a bad quarterback. Listen.
That's what you.
I mean, how many of our teams have quarterbacks that have been to the Super Bowl? Like Goff's been there. He's done that.
Sure. All right. Chris's video says Lawrence or Goff. This one's maybe a little tougher, but maybe not. George, we'll start with you this time.
It's for Goff for all the reasons I mentioned. The matchup is a good one with the Raiders. Raiders 19th against opposing quarterbacks. Goff at home is a much better quarterback than Goff on the road. I'm going to go with Goff here. And Lawrence hasn't been particularly good.
And I agree with that as well. I've got him ranked. I was just looking. I've got him ranked a couple spots higher. So for me, it's Goff as well. Justin?
Yeah, I've had a few matchups with Lawrence this year where I've just kind of thought, man, I think he's going to be really good this week. And then he comes out kind of flat, 16 to 18, maybe 20 points. And then games where you're like, man, he's just not going to do much this week. I'm going to bench him. And then it's about 16, 18, 20 points. Like he's the model of consistency this year for the most part, minus the one game in week 2 against Kansas City. But he doesn't have a very high ceiling this year. So I'm going to go with Goff because I think that Goff has the same floor with the potential of a higher ceiling.
Yeah, Goff, it's going to be Goff for me. But Lawrence has all these weapons and everything. And you want to know the weeks that when he actually truly comes out and shines is when he has his number 1 receiver, Zay Jones, in the lineup and everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing with him being out how that changes. And we would have never thought that and everything, because you got Ridley and you got Kirk. But Jones is going to be out again this week and everything. So, look, I still got Trevor Lawrence in my top 10. He's right there at 10, but I got Goff higher based off of the fact who he's playing and because of Zay Jones not being in the game for Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely. So here's the problem. We've got a lot of unanimous questions right off the bat. And I feel like when that happens, it's kind of like when the national media all picks the same team, that team's losing.
You want to hear a fun stat?
Sure.
Travis Etienne has more multiple touchdown games this year than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
It is because I have a lot of Etienne. It's very fun.
Listen, I've been riding him like the workhorse he is in the Scott Fish Bowl, so I'm not complaining there.
He's the only reason I'm still undefeated in draft night out.
Dad says George needs to watch the Eagles.
It makes no sense. No.
They beat you last week. I think that's what he's saying.
I mean, listen, yeah, it's easy to beat a team when you get no penalties called against you. Blatant face mask, who cares?
Hey,
Pass interference, who cares?
You guys are
holding on every play. Who cares?
You scored on I love that face mask argument because their offense, Miami's offense, sucked out loud last week. So luckily their defense scored on the very next play after they missed that. It's one of the only scores they got, but they still complain about the miss. You know what? They would have gotten the ball back and punted 3 plays later. You got lucky that call got missed. I also love that George is like, I'm not going to complain about the refs. And then I haven't complained
about the refs.
I'm not complaining about the refs.
I'm not complaining. Listen, have you seen me complain about the refs at all? No.
Yes, right here. Right here. You just roll it back 15 seconds. Coach, we need this as a short. Have you seen me complain about the refs? And then rewind it 10 seconds. George complaining about the ref.
I wasn't complaining about the refs. I just said it's easy to win when you have at least 15 penalties not called against you.
Go ahead, Justin.
So I have a universal complaint of the officiating, and that last weekend there were 26 teams that played. I went back and rolled it back, and I watched clips of every single game, and there were 16 teams who had a tackle. Usually it's that left tackle, but sometimes the right, that jumped early every single play. 16 of the 26 teams had a tackle that jumped early almost nearly every single play. And like watching it in slow motion, you can clearly see them backing up before the ball is ever moved at all. And they never call it. It drives me insane. I hate it, especially since the Colts don't take advantage of that. They're one of the 10 that don't try to jump early, and it kills me.
Is it me or is it this year we're seeing so much more of that? It's like, it's like the offensive line is like got that. It's that right side. I always see it on and everything. It's right there, real close and everything, and it seems real prevalent this year. You know.
Well, it's the copycat league, so it's where the best of the best started doing it, and since they're not calling them, then now they're not going to call us, so we're going to start doing it.
The problem is,
I hate to complain.
Teams in the league, they'll actually call it on. The teams that don't, you know what I mean? Like the teams that there are teams, the teams that aren't considered good offensive teams, they don't get those calls. They get those called against them.
You know who started all that? And I hate to say that because I'm not complaining about the refs, but it was Lane Johnson with the Eagles that actually got that started for everybody. If you go back and look, like almost every snap, he moves before the ball does. And
I was going to say
it's like a quarter of a second beforehand, so they never call it.
I would say it started week 1 with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was saying, and the left tackle Taylor from the Chiefs.
Yeah, Taylor not only goes early, but he was way off the line. Like he was back off the line.
But Johnson's been doing it for years. It's not like it's something that he just started doing this year. He's been doing it for years and getting away with it.
I didn't mean to get us off track though.
It's all football, man. We're good. Jerry says good morning, guys. George needs to win the AJ Mini helmet.
I agree. Or you can just give it to me. I don't need to win it. Just give it to me.
I don't know if he's eligible, Coach.
I think is that one a Raz? If that one's a Raz, then we're all eligible. We can all pay our entry.
All right, I'm in. I want that. I will. If I win that, I promise you right now, I will give it away to one of my charity leagues. I'm in. Duarte says DK or Pittman Jr. And because Pittman Jr. is involved, I got to go to Justin first.
Yeah, DK is going up against Cleveland, and I know Pittman Jr. actually played really well against against Cleveland last week, but it was really mostly all on that one big 75-yard touchdown. Aside from that, like even after that, they're still number 1 against wide receivers in the league right now in fantasy football. So Cleveland does have a really tough defense. I don't like the situation as well for Metcalf this week. Now, Pittman Jr. is playing against New Orleans this week, who also has a pretty tough defense. But I think given the situation, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. I'm gonna go with Pittman, but that could just be me looking at it through Colts colored glasses.
George.
So I've got Colts colored glasses on as well then, because I'm going to go with Pittman as well. The Saints are really good covering outside wide receivers, but Pittman plays 29% of the time in the slot, so he can take advantage of that matchup there. Pittman's also had double-digit fantasy points in 6 of the 7 weeks that they've played. My concern with DK Metcalf is he's playing against the Colts, or I'm sorry, not the Colts, the Browns, and the Browns allowed the fewest pass attempts, yards, and completions to quarterbacks, and opposing quarterbacks have only averaged 170 passing yards per game against the Cleveland Browns. Like, that Cleveland Browns defense is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not trusting DK Metcalf coming back from injury against a top-notch defense like that, especially where he should be seeing a lot of Denzel Ward. Like, no, thank you. Give me Pittman.
And Rich.
Yeah, I'm going to be the Jason of the group. I don't know if Jason's made his choice, but I'm going Metcalf. Look, I know he's injured last week and everything, but look, it's still Metcalf. He's a beast and everything. And Pittman is slowly but surely and stuff like that. It's already happened. I feel like he's the number 2 there. Downs is the number 1 receiver there. And like Justin said, Pittman looked good last week because he had that one big play and everything. DK is going to be involved. He is the number 1 receiver there, even after coming off injury. Look, I get it's a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for both of them and everything. So I'm going to go with the true number 1 on their team and everything. And as much as it's not that much more, Geno Smith is the better quarterback than Minshew.
I do think Geno's the better quarterback typically, but he hasn't looked like he did last year. I'm going to go with the majority here. I'll let Rich be the Jason. It's not technically the Jason because you didn't go last. You didn't wait. But I'll let Rich be the – it's okay. You got it. I'll let Rich be the Jason on this one. I'm going to go with Pittman as well. I do think Downs is taking some of the catches from Pittman, but I think Pittman's got an opportunity for a lot of catches, a lot of receptions. The Colts defense hasn't been very good. They've had to score a lot of points. I don't think that changes. So I'm going to go with Pittman in a game that I think is going to be that has a higher implied point total, and so a lot more points have to be scored. So I'm going that route for sure. Let's see. All right. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. And we've got Dustin. Everyone, please make sure to like and subscribe. Support these fine, upstanding gentlemen who put a ton of work on our behalf to help us go from toilets to titles. Dustin, we really appreciate that. And it is a fine reminder that if you have not subscribed to our show, please like and subscribe here on YouTube. And that way you are notified every time we go live or we release another video. I think yesterday we released a short with George talking about Jameson Williams from Detroit, asking if he's a bust, and jump in and you can watch those types of shorts as well. They're only a minute long, and you get a little minute quick hit, that dopamine drop of like football just in 1 minute, and then you can go back to doing whatever you're doing. So we got Bobby Ham saying, "Happy Sunday, friends." Coach is asking for his team. Do you think the Cowboys or the Rams are going to win?
I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go Cowboys, but I think it's close.
Yeah, it's at home, Cowboys. I'll go Cowboys too.
All right. Well, I guess nobody checks the private chat then, because I said I think that we should all take the Rams just to get under Coach's skin.
I know I was going to do it too. That's why I hit the wrong button, because I spent the time to go look at the private chat when I saw some comments.
No, I mean, honestly, I don't know. The team has kind of been letting me down here lately. I've got a lot of fantasy stock in the Cowboys, but the defense is still legit when they want to be. And this offense, for as good as the Rams offense is, you would think that they would be able to move the ball and score more touchdowns. They just don't score touchdowns. It's crazy. So I do think that the Cowboys defense does enough to get the win.
You know what? I'll do the Jason. I'm going to take the Rams because it's funny and I enjoy doing those things. I do think that having Tutu Atwell as a third wide receiver, but then Puka and
I demand satisfaction.
I challenge you to a duel.
I shan't mince words with you.
You took the Rams. I'm adamant about the Cowboys. There's our rival.
Can we rival straight up rival a game, or is it players only?
Yeah, I don't think so.
See, George don't know how any of this works.
No, I wanted to get you. I thought I had an opportunity.
We'll get there, I promise. But definitely can't do it on the games. But
This
that's
is what
okay.
we get for letting George have controls.
I know. Chris's videos: Ridley, Stevenson, Spears, or Palmer for the flex.
Well, I'll let you guys go first, but before you start talking about that, I do want to mention that with Spears, the Titans have said that they're not like actively shopping Derrick Henry, but that they did get an offer for him, and that they are at least open to listening to the offers that might come in before Tuesday's trade deadline. So that's something to consider if you're out there and Tyjae Spears is still available on your in your leagues and you've got the roster spot. Go sign him, because if they trade away Henry and they don't get a decent back in return, Spears is going to be a league winner. So
not to mention to that is, like, if they're actively taking offers, how much are they actually going to use Henry and going to get him hurt? Like, I do think they try and win this game, which means they're going to have to use Henry.
Yeah, for sure.
But they may reduce it some because they don't want to hurt a guy that they're actively shopping and trying to get some draft picks for. So Just a thought there as we go into this question that I'm going to start with George on.
I think they showcase Henry, give him all the touches in the world. So show teams, hey, look, he's not washed. He still has some juice left. If you're a contender and you're looking to make a playoff push or a championship push, hey, we got Derrick Henry and he's got juice left. So I think that they will actually feed him like they typically do. 100% agree with the Tyjae Spears. He'll be a top 8 running back if Henry's out of the way. As far as this question goes, it came down to 2 players for me. It came down to either Palmer or Stevenson. Can't trust Spears with a limited workload. Calvin Ridley has looked like doo-doo outside of week 1. So I couldn't trust either one of them. At first, I wanted to go Palmer. He averages 4 receptions and 90 yards a game since Mike Williams has been out, which is phenomenal. The problem is he's going to see coverage from Jalen Johnson. And you could be asking yourself, who is Jalen Johnson? Who is this rookie? He's PFF's number 1 ranked cornerback. Johnson had 2 interceptions last week, and in 5 games, he's played and he's been targeted, he's only allowed 10 receptions for 11 total yards. Johnson has a 22% passing grade when targeted, which is not good. So I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson. Dolphins, since if you take out the week 1 game where they gave up like 240 something yards on the ground to the Chargers, the Dolphins have been averaging about 90 to 95 yards on the ground a game, which is a lot more respectable. But the best thing about Ramondre Stevenson is they're actually involving him in the pass games. The last 2 weeks, he's had 11 catches for 75 yards on 12 targets against the Raiders and Bills. I expect New England to have to continue to pass the ball to try to keep up with Miami down in Miami. So I expect more passing volume from Ramondre. So I'll go with Ramondre Stevenson here.
Rich.
Yeah, so Derrick Henry, Thomas, Justin mentioned Derrick Henry being on the trade block. Look, if this is the week not to play him as much, this is the week that they're going to do it and stuff like that. Like I said, and then on top of that, look, this is the second game. If it wasn't for the Jets and the Giants, this would be the lowest over-under game. Will Levis is going to be starting the game and everything. So they're looking to run the ball. And if they are actively shopping Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears is going to be the one that's more active in this game and stuff like that in the rushing. And he could also catch out of the backfield. It's real close between Spears and Stevenson. And normally in majority of the weeks, I'd probably go Stevenson here. But his slow start to the year, and I know he had a good week last week, I'm going to take the opportunity that Spears has this week with them even contemplating the fact that they are shopping Henry. Usually every time that's the case, look, you see less opportunity and stuff like that. And even if Henry does freaking get opportunity and stuff like that, look, this is a low-scoring game. They are going to use both running backs in this game, and I like Spears' opportunity. So I am going Spears with the opportunity that he will have this week.
I think it's funny how we all kind of have different views on how we would treat Derrick Henry on our team if we were trying to trade him. But because Jason's saying I'm gonna throw him out there and let everybody see he's not washed, and Rich is like, I don't want him to get hurt. Like it's awesome to think, of all the different strategies. But personally, for me,
Here's
it was
real quick, Justin. One thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We already know what Henry could do. I mean, we've seen it and
That's
stuff
fair.
like that. You don't need to put him out there and stuff like that to say, "Hey, look what he can do." We already know what he can do and stuff like that. So, look, if you're really wanting to trade him, man, let's make sure he doesn't get hurt.
Right. That actually, and George said throw him out there and showcase him. I'm the one who said. I'm the one who said sit him for safety. But literally, like as Rich just mentioned, what he can do. Also, the team they're playing, it's not good on the ground. It's likely that they load the box to try and keep him from showcasing what he does, and then all you might do is prove that he's still washed. Like, I'm not saying he is, but like you're going up against a good rush defense.
Right.
This isn't the kind of game you can showcase him anyway. If it was like the Texans who he averages 200 yards against, okay, throw him out there. But this is a game where the Falcons are good against the run. So
yeah, but like I said, it's not that the Titans are actively shopping him. I got to throw that out again. They said that they have offers for him, and they're not opposed to listening to other offers, but they're not actively trying to seek a trade. At least that's what they're telling.
They have to say that because Derrick Henry would be pissed if they don't.
Right. But for the purposes of this question, Chris's videos, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. Just wanted to throw that out there for everyone else, because if they don't have Spears like Chris does, he's worth a pickup just in case. But anyway, for me, it was down to Stevenson or Ridley. I don't know what's going on. There's something going on with Ridley that I'm missing here that none of you guys even talked about him. But I love the matchup. I love his ability to make plays. But it's still ultimately tie goes to the running back, and I'm going with Stevenson.
I would have look. Ridley's just been bad. I think that's
you don't know when he's going to show up.
Right. So his matchup's incredible. I think he is a fine start this week. But I think Stevenson Ridley has a higher upside. Stevenson has a higher floor with upside. So for that reason, because Ridley could show up and catch one pass for 13 yards, and you go, okay, well, that's a Ridley week. So for that reason, I have to go with Stevenson here. The other issue is like Palmer could be huge. He was great last week. He looks like essential to that offense with Mike Williams out. The problem is he's questionable still. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday and only limited practice on Friday. So he's a game time decision Sunday night. So if you don't have a pivot option and you decide to choose him, you're in a little bit of trouble. I don't see anybody else on this list of options that either play Sunday night or Monday evening. So like if you don't have another option, that's my problem with Palmer this week. Because if Palmer was healthy, it would be Palmer for me. But as questionable and playing in primetime Sunday night, I don't play Palmer.
I also think it's going to be a huge Eckler week this week against Chicago. I think he finally gets a chance to bounce back.
I mean, I'd hope so, but dude, coming off that high ankle sprain, like he's back, and he, squeaky wheel, right? Because he's up for contract negotiations, I guess, and so he is pretty pissed about his usage, as he should be.
Yeah. But
he hasn't looked right either. It's not like he's looked like Austin Eckler. So it's not like he grew. He just doesn't look that good. All right. Bobby Hams, 12-team half PPR. Who is the flex? Zay Flowers, Arizona. Damian Pierce, Carolina. Foreman and Roschon are wildcard options. I think we can rule. I think I'm ruling Foreman and Roschon out. If you have Zay Flowers and Damian Pierce, I'll go first. I'm going to say Zay Flowers against Arizona. The only thing I worry about as far as Zay Flowers goes is that if the Ravens do what they did to the Lions last week to Arizona, which is totally possible, maybe they just start running the ball to run out the clock, or maybe it goes to other weapons, Mark Andrews, whatever. Personally, I think Zay Flowers is going to eat in this game against a really terrible Arizona secondary. Let's go Rich next.
Yeah, so I like Zay Flowers, but you know who I like better? I like Damian Pierce better against the Panthers. Look, Panthers are allowing opposing running backs 165 total yards per game, and they've also allowed 13 rushing TDs in 7 games this season. I know Singletary is there and stuff like that, but I look at Damian Pierce to have plenty of opportunities today. I know this is going to be a Stroud versus Bryce Young game, but Damian Pierce is going to feast in this. And when it comes to, we always talk about it, and I know sometimes you guys go the opposite, but to me in this case, Damian Pierce is a tie between Zay Flowers, and I'm leaning running back.
George.
I'm not throwing out any stats. I'm not going to give any other information other than it's Zay Flowers. The guy has been fantastic all year long. He's a week in must start. Like, I mean, what are we doing? Why is it still a question? Look at the production he's put up all year. Like, he's consistent double-digit fantasy points every week. It's Zay Flowers.
Justin.
Honestly, of the list that he gave, for me, it's Devonta Foreman or Donta Foreman. I can't. I want to ride the hot hand here, but he's saying they're only wild card options, and nobody's mentioning him. But I feel like Tyson Bagent found a way to get him heavily involved last week. There's a real opportunity for it to be a heavy Foreman game again this week. But if we're all if all the rest of you are narrowing it down to Zay Flowers or Damian Pierce, then it's Zay Flowers for me as well. Damian Pierce has only had, I think it was like 18 red zone opportunities so far this season and only 1 touchdown on the season. They just can't get the ball down into the red zone very, very effectively. And when they do, it's off of deep passes. So it's more the wide receivers in that game for me. So I'm going to go Zay Flowers.
All right, that's 3 for Flowers, 1 for Damian Pierce, or 2 for Flowers, 1 for Pierce, 1 for Foreman officially. So Black Body Absorber says he's in Colorado. It's going to be a great game.
Nice.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Are you going, Black Body? Are you going to the game? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry Bagshaw says, will McCaffrey tie the touchdown streak record today? Absolutely will.
Yep. Hope so.
And then my son says, do we agree with the State Farm ad? Should Travis Kelce change his name to Maato, or should he keep his current name? Joke comment. I'm going to say that he should take on Taylor Swift's last name, so he should be Travis Swift when they get married.
They need to figure out a way to tie that in. It's going to be a third wheel in those commercials next season.
The thing is I don't know that Swift. I mean, first, let's see if they're still together next season. Swift she doesn't have like the greatest track record of staying. She just she gets in relationships so she can write songs and then gets out of them. But
it's gonna be a great song.
It will be an awesome song. It's got to be about that mustache, doesn't it? This is the worst. Anyway.
Easy. I know what you want to say. Easy.
I do want to say it.
It's a family show.
We're on YouTube and my son is watching. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. But thank you, Eli. I enjoyed that. Need one flex, Watson or Madison in I'm assuming a full PPR, and I'm going to start with Justin.
Man, I'm going to go with Madison as much as I hate to do it. You say Watson, I'm assuming you mean Christian Watson. Obviously.
I would assume.
But Madison has a good matchup this week against the Packers. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points in PPR to opposing running backs. And, I mean, Madison isn't great by any means this season, but my phone is off. What the heck? But he is a low-end RB2 right now, and you're talking about a flex position in a really sweet matchup. So for me, it's going to be Madison.
George.
I can't trust Madison. That's my problem.
Yeah, I can't really trust Green Bay receivers.
Yeah, well, last week Madison only touched the ball 3 times the entire second half of Monday night's game. Madison's had 13 red zone carries, totaling 10 total yards and 0 touchdowns. Last time I checked, that's not very good. He appears to be on the short leash. Like, it appears that they're slowly transitioning to Cam Akers in that backfield because he had all the touches except for 3 on Monday night's game, and he looked a lot more effective than Madison was. So, as much as I don't like the Christian Watson, like he hasn't been good either, to be honest. The Vikings give up the second most receptions of wide receivers, which you like. But the problem is Christian Watson has only caught 5 or more receptions in 2 games of the 17 that he's played. So that's not very good. Feet to the fire. I've got to pick one. I'm going to go with Watson. I don't like it though. I don't like either one of these options.
Listen, George laid out all the arguments for both players. And honestly, as I was listening to him, I'm going, oh, well, he's switching to Madison because, yeah, he only had 3 carries in the second half. He had more than that in the first half, and they got up big last week, right? Against weren't they up by a couple of scores early? And then salted away a win late last week. And maybe that's why Madison was.
If they salted away the win, you would think that they would use their starter more than 3 times.
I don't know. Maybe they were just protecting him, but I'm going.
No, I think he's just not good.
There is that too, but as you discussed, Watson hasn't been good either. So I'm going to go ahead and Ty goes to the runner for me with Madison.
That's why I said neither one of them have been good.
But Rich.
Yeah, so this is the reason why we do these shows and stuff like that, because of questions like this. And look, Madison played against the 49ers last week, so give him a break. It ain't like the week before. He played the Chargers the week before and had 93 rushing yards and 5 receptions for 32 yards. I'll take those kind of stats because he's going to be playing against the same kind of defense with the Packers and everything. So in this case, I'm going to trust Madison over Watson and stuff like that because of the fact that, look, Viking pass defense ain't bad. I'm running Madison this week.
All right, that's 3-1. We've got a trade offer, guys. Let's see if we would take this. Breece Hall and Christian Watson for Derrick Henry, Darrell Henderson, and George Pickens. Currently have Waddle, Kupp, and Ridley at wide receivers, going with Kamara and Monty, except I do that. That's a huge upgrade for me at running back. So I absolutely take this. Again, not a huge fan of what Christian Watson's been doing, but I can give up Pickens and Darrell Henderson, who may get relegated back to his couch once Kyron Williams gets back. So for me, I'm taking the best piece in this trade, which is Breece Hall. I saw a thumbs up down below. Yeah, everybody else agree?
Yeah, it's slam dunk.
Yeah, the Jets' next few games, like they get the Giants today, Chargers next week, the Raiders the following week. They'll have a tough matchup with the Bills. Then they get the Dolphins, tough matchup with the Falcons. And then the playoffs for the Jets. Playoffs is actually a pretty good schedule outside of the Browns in the championship game. But, I mean, they get the Dolphins, they get the Commanders, and the Browns. That's their playoff schedule. That's not bad outside of the Browns. I would smash accept on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, even like you say, the Bills is a tough matchup, but it hasn't been that bad for running backs.
Yep.
Rashard White just scored 25 points in a PPR against them, and he's been terrible all season. So, the Bills are a tough matchup as far as a game, team versus team. But for running backs, the only game in there that you look going forward for Breece Hall that you think might be tough is the Falcons. So he's got a great schedule ahead. So
yeah, for sure.
Emmett does everything. Says, my guys, good to hear from you, Emmett.
What's up, Emmett?
Chris's video says that was Jameson Williams, not Javonte Williams, in his question above. I don't think that changes anything for any of us.
It doesn't, because we all went Mostert. I think we all still go Mostert over.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen the video short I did on Jameson Williams this past week, you might want to go watch it. I'm going to label him as of right now. I don't care. Yes, you could point out injury. Yes, you could point out gambling. I don't care. He's a bust.
Honestly, I think that, and I commented on your YouTube, I think that speaks less about the player and just more about the team because, Swift was a bust till he went to the Eagles, right? Like, and yeah, they have the best offensive line in football, but Detroit's shown that they can use some players and maybe aren't great at using others. So I think, that's all part of it.
I mean, I laid it out in the video. Josh Reynolds has been phenomenal.
Like I said, can use some players, can't use others.
Maybe some players just don't have the talent. It's not a 1-for-1 with Swift and being in Detroit and then moving over to the Eagles. Like, it's not a 1-for-1. Everybody knew Swift had talent.
No, everybody thought Jamison Williams has talent.
Everybody
Peter
thought
Sandoval
Jameer Gibbs
says,
has talent.
Peter Sandoval says, my big question, should I go with Purdy, which is a question for Jimmy G coming off injury? Oh, so I guess it's Purdy or Jimmy G playing in the Frankenstank. Rich, since you're a Jimmy G guy.
Yes, I am a Jimmy G. If he was playing for another team, I am going Purdy.
And Justin.
I really like Jimmy G's matchup this week. Like, really like it. And I still have to go Purdy. They're going up against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is clicking. They've got their offense going. San Francisco is going to have to score points to win this game, and they cannot afford to lose another one with that roster. So I think they come out ready to play this game. It's going to be a great, fun game to watch, and I think even a high-scoring game. So I'm going to go with Purdy.
And George.
Yeah, it's Purdy. It's not like Brock Purdy's injury is coming back as a shoulder injury, hand injury. It's not anything that's going to affect his throwing. So I'm gonna go with Purdy there.
And that's going to make it 4 for 4. I'm going to go with Purdy as well. Bobby Ham says, I've been rolling with Jordan Love for a while. That's got to feel bad. But I feel like I should have a backup, but waivers are sparse. Pickett, Minshew, Taylor for rest of season. Justin shaking his head, just no.
Yeah. You already have 4 backups right now. They're just sitting on the waivers rather than on your using up a roster spot. If something happens to Love, you're picking up one of these guys. Nobody cares between these 4 guys, to be honest with you. I think Minshew might be the only one that maybe stands out because he has the ability to make plays. But still, like, I just think if something happens to Love, or maybe even just go pick up Minshew and drop Love. Like, he's kind of one of those. Like, you've got 5 guys between Love and those 4 there, and then just whoever plays, you're streaming each week. Like, whoever has the best matchup. If this is a 1-quarterback league and Love is who you're rolling with, then you're just streaming anyway. So don't waste another roster spot on another quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to look over the strength of schedule for each of these guys just to see what they've got. Pickett's not great, but there's games in there. So, like, maybe when they play Arizona in a couple weeks, you pick him up. But
that's what I'm saying. Sure. Like,
and then Taylor, like, not that he hasn't been playing well for football. It's not like he's been great for fantasy. And Daniel Jones has a lot of money coming to him. I can't imagine they're not going back to Daniel Jones.
Right.
So, look, Minshew again is one of those guys. Go ahead, George. You got your finger up.
Yeah. Sorry. Breaking news: Patrick Mahomes has just been added to the injury designation with an illness. No word whether or not he's playing, but they just added him to the injury report just now.
So we actually get to find out if he is, in fact, the Michael Jordan of football.
Flu game.
Gardner Minshew's got New Orleans this week, which isn't great. And then Carolina next week, which is pretty good. New England hasn't been great for quarterbacks. Then he's got a bye week. And then Tampa, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Vegas. None of those have been great. Some of them have been good, but not great. So, like, there's nothing in Minshew, like, for Minshew that you can see that goes, I have to start that guy regularly. 2 weeks from now, the Panthers. So, like Justin said, I think streaming is probably the best. You think Mahomes got what Bijan had last week?
I think that's why
at least the Chiefs learned from last week from Atlanta, at least announcing it before, or it would have been all mayhem. Can you imagine going into the game and Mahomes not playing? Nobody said anything about it.
To be honest, I hope it happens next week. Like, I hope he's so sick that he can't play next week either.
Can't go to Germany.
Can't go to Germany.
Shouldn't fly.
Shouldn't fly.
That's horrible. You're
No,
hoping for
listen,
that
I
and you're
want
sick?
I want Mahomes to be healthy for the playoffs. So if he has to sit a week or two and then he gets the added bonus of the bye week, like that's fine. Like I'm looking out for him long term. I don't need immediate gratification. I'm looking at the long term play here.
Or you
But
still want him to play against the Dolphins?
that might be too. But to answer Bobby Ham's question, and Justin hit it on the head. These are all backup quarterbacks as it is. I'm assuming it's single quarterback with these guys still available. Typically, Superflex, even terrible quarterbacks are not available. If any of them spike my interest, honestly, it would be Kenny Pickett, which sounds disgusting. But his schedule gets a lot easier from this point forward. Like he's had murder's row of defenses to play the first 6-7 weeks of the year, but his schedule lightens up a lot. Plus he's getting Deontay Johnson back. So if there's any of them that I'd be interested in, it would be Kenny Pickett. And maybe I would rotate, like just swapping out each week, playing matchups with all these guys that are on the waivers. But I'm not burning another roster spot for any of them.
Yeah, I don't need to say anything else. Genius just covered everything.
All right.
I just copied what Justin said.
Since you didn't get to talk that time, I'll let you go first this time, Rich. Play Tank Dell and Christian Watson over Ridley and Darrell Henderson, half PPR.
I don't like Ridley at all. I'm playing Tank Dell, and I'm playing Darrell Henderson. I don't know if this is a question, B question where you have to go with those two for each one of them, but out of the four, I'm playing Tank Dell and Darrell Henderson.
Justin?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna go with Tank Dell just because of all the options. He's the most fun for me to watch play football. Like if I have to come down to different certain tiebreakers, it usually goes to the running back. I do know that Darrell Henderson was elevated back to the active squad this yesterday, so he's gonna play. So I think because it says Dell and Watson, so I'm guessing that we could choose two here. So I'm gonna go with Tank Dell and Henderson. But it's really tough because I'm not with you guys on Ridley. I think that he has a big game this week. So you know what? Give me Ridley and Henderson. I'm gonna go with my gut.
The problem for me with Henderson, and it's not. I mean, these options all have issues, right? It's like none of them. Yeah. It's not like any of these are like head and shoulder above the rest. The problem with Henderson is they're playing against a team that's really good against the run.
Yeah.
And it's not like Henderson gets a lot of receptions. He had all the team's running back receptions with 2 last week. So he got 100%, but like it's 2. So it's not like they're throwing the ball to the running backs, especially with the wide receivers that they have. So that makes Henderson a tough one for me. But even with all that, it's a flip a coin between Tank Dell and Calvin Ridley for me. Because they've both ghosted you at times and they both have high upside. I like the matchup against Jacksonville better, so I'm going to say Calvin Ridley and Darrell Henderson for me. So that's 2 of us doing that.
And I'm going to go with Tank Dell over Calvin Ridley. And the reason why it's strictly the matchup play. Carolina's secondary is absolutely atrocious. Tank Dell is going to be covered by a guy by the name of C.J. Henderson. Henderson allows a passer rating of 126.8 when targeted. I'm expecting Tank Dell to come back and pick up where he left off. So I'm going to go with Tank Dell here.
I think we all said Darrell Henderson.
Yep. Yeah, Darrell Henderson, they activated him from the practice squad, but he's their starting running back. Like he had the vast majority of the catches, the rushes last week, and he's very familiar with the system. And we've seen it in stretches. I said it last week when Darrell Henderson plays and he's the starter. Typically, he actually does pretty darn good for the Rams.
Well, and look, you're going to see probably 2 more times Darrell Henderson go to the practice squad because they're allowed to do it 3 times and protect him from another team poaching him. So it just makes roster sense in case there's other injuries they have to deal with. It just makes a lot of sense for them to do it. So like, don't worry about him going to the practice squad. That's not something you have to pay attention to. As long as Kyron Williams is out and he doesn't get hurt, like you're going to see him shift back and forth between the practice squad for at least a couple more weeks. They can do it 3 times without any consequences. So it's just smart football from that front office.
And to the point of him not being heavily involved in the receiving game as well, we got to remember he was on the couch the week before. Like he hasn't been with the team this whole offseason, not the whole offseason, this whole season up to this point. And he still got 2 targets. He only averaged about 2.5 to 3 targets per game beforehand, but there is still a chance, given that the other running backs in that backfield are banged up, that he does get more involved in the passing game as well. Now that he's starting to get more of the newer plays down. I mean, he's been there with the team for an extra week. So he could potentially have an upside on the receiving game as well.
It's possible. I worry. He was only like 2% of the snaps. So 48% of the time there were other running backs out there. They got 0 targets. So like they threw the running back twice. So it's possible it goes up just because their best runner knows the playbook a little bit better, but it just doesn't seem like something they're doing. So that's my caution there as well.
Yeah.
But all right. Black Body Absorber says, I need 1 running back and 2 flex. Running backs are Aaron Jones or Ramondre Stevenson. So we need a running back first.
That one's Stevenson for me. Pretty easy.
George?
I'm actually leaning Aaron Jones. Give me 1 second. Let me pull him up. The Packers or not the Packers, I'm sorry. The Vikings are currently ranked 25th according to PFF in run defense. Aaron Jones is off the injury report. A.J. Dillon has struggled when given the opportunity. Jones being back should take a lot of the workload off of Jordan Love, and he should be involved both in the passing and the run game. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones here.
Rich?
I am going Stevenson.
And this is going to be tough because I would make it 2-2 here for sure. Because I do think it's going to be Aaron Jones. I think he's going to have the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. But let's see, because you've got some other options here. Let's see if we'd actually flex the opposite guy before I switch over to, because I'm pretty even here. I would switch over to Stevenson to break the tie.
Me too, with Jones.
So, okay, so let's do this, Justin. You switch to Jones, I'll switch to Stevenson, and then it'll be 2-2 again.
There we
go. But then you have Deontay Johnson, Josh Downs, Tyler Lockett. So of those guys, do you flex any of them over the running back that you chose not to take in the last question? I'll start with Rich here.
Yeah, that's the reason why I went Stevenson, because I was going to go Jones in my flex with Josh Downs. I mean, look, Deontay Johnson is dealing with injury, and Tyler Lockett, although he's dealing with competition, he's also dealing with the defense that he goes up against. So either way, if you want me to switch, I'll switch Aaron Jones to running back and Stevenson to flex. So however you guys want to run with that.
Okay, so
same for me. Exactly what Rich said. The only difference is I do want to know what George's notes, as a Colts fan, what George's notes says about Josh Downs, but I would have went Stevenson and then Jones and Downs as my flex too.
So I'll be more than happy to read you what the notes say. Josh Downs plays 83% of the plays from the slot. Downs has 5+ receptions in 3 straight games. Scored back-to-back games. Saints allow the fewest fantasy points to outside wide receivers, but allow the second most fantasy points to slot wide receivers. That is what the notes say.
You know what I really like about this is that Justin has the notes. He can go read what it says about Downs, and yet he's still like, "Hey, George, read them to me."
Well, because he thought I would read the part where he put in the notes that George eats poop. So he went in the notes, edit it, and thought that I wouldn't actually read it, and I would just, blindly read what was there.
If I would have put Rich, you would have read it.
If you'd have put Jason, I'd have read it.
Yeah.
You got to know who you're. I mean, it's
know
not,
your audience there, Justin. Jeez.
it's
By the way,
unfortunate.
that's a beautiful cup, Justin.
It's-
Yeah. Yep. I have
But,
your wife to thank for that.
I agree with everybody else. Aaron Jones and Stevenson are the two plays.
And I'm with you there, so we are unanimous yet again. I think we might be unanimous here. Dustin Hetrich, Teabag, or Tutu. I love that Teabag has caught on with the people that are listening. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So Teabag or Tutu, well, it's a quarterback in a super flex. I'm playing the Teabag, especially with Tutu not getting over 30 yards in the last several games ever since Cooper Kupp came back. He has had a touchdown, but you don't want to chase touchdowns. Teabag will probably get a touchdown at least this week.
Not only that, but if you watch that touchdown, they had two wide receivers in the same area, and I don't think that Tutu was even the intended wide receiver on that play, and he just happened to get the touchdown. So definitely not going to play Tutu.
George?
Yeah,
Rich? Nope, Rich.
I'm going Tutu.
I guess when your team gets teabagged the next week, you can't pick him.
Yeah, I was like, the only thing I want to point out is, Dustin, I appreciate you, man, because this tells me you do listen to our shows and you look a true Title Tribe guy right here and everything.
Yeah.
But the only thing I am going to say about this comment is you can't spell it T-E-E bag. You just got to do T-hyphenated bag.
Correct.
It's not T.
You got to use the correct. Yeah, you got to use the correct spelling when you're doing teabag. He's not the guy from Prison Break, okay? That's somebody totally different. But the answer for this question is definitely teabag, especially for the Frankenstein scoring. The Chargers allow 305 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's enough for me to get teabag into my my quarterback 2 range for the Frankenstein and really in super flexes as well. It's a good matchup for the Bears quarterback. Tutu, I'll tell you what I put for Tutu on my notes here. He hasn't topped 20 yards since Cooper Kupp returned. Yes, he had a touchdown last week, but that doesn't mean a whole, like, he wasn't actually supposed to be the target on that run. He ran the wrong route. And the touchdown just happened to get there. Don't chase it. He hasn't been fantasy viable since Cooper Kupp returned.
All right. Answered that one pretty well. Brenda Raleigh says, have Hurts on a bye week, week 10. Would like to pick up Murray today. Who to drop? Warren, Judy.
Right there. You can stop reading. It's Jerry Jeudy. He's been trash all season long. You could drop Jerry Jeudy. It's fine.
Especially if you have Chase, Waddle, Pickens, and Addison.
Correct.
You're already not going to play Jeudy.
Definitely a smart move to get him now because you never know when news breaks over the weekend, like throughout the day today or tomorrow before waivers run, that Murray's going to be back and playing next week. And then all of a sudden everybody's going after him. If he's available now, get him now if you need a quarterback. Because if he does end up playing, you've got him for free.
Yep.
Are you guys surprised they're actually putting him back in with them being one and whatever? Like I'm pretty surprised that they need to get those draft picks and I don't know.
I mean, there's still a chance he doesn't play, right? Like, there's still a chance that maybe he's just out there going through the motions to try to get his feet back under him so he can, maybe play a little bit so he's not completely rusty for next year. But it appears as though they're going to play him. It's kind of crazy.
All right, let's see. Jerry Bagshaw says Dak Prescott versus the Rams or Burrow versus the 49ers. To me, this one is relatively easy. I'm going to take Dak versus the Rams. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think I want a piece of that game, so it's going to be Dak for me. But do you guys agree or disagree?
Dak has a slightly better matchup, so I can go with Dak.
George?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Prescott as well. He's coming off the best game of the season, week 6. If you notice, he actually ran the ball in week 6. Like, that's something he just has not been doing up to this point. Ever since he had that gruesome ankle injury, He stopped running the ball, which I understand, but like that's one thing that made him not just fantasy viable, but made him a better NFL quarterback was him running the ball, because that's something defenses had to account for. So they had to keep a defender in, which to spy on Dak rather, which opened everything up for everybody else. So it's weird. I don't know, but he's been very good after the bye. He averages 26.9 fantasy points in 6 games after his bye week. Only once has he failed to score 22 points after the bye weeks. It should be a much better matchup than having to play the 49ers. The Rams are 20th against opposing quarterbacks. And the Rams have allowed just 2 quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson and Jalen Hurts, to score more than 15.2 fantasy points on the season. But I think why do I keep calling him Zach? Dak Prescott gets to get added to that list as well.
All right, and Rich?
Yeah, look, did we not forget what Cousins did against the 49ers last week? And Burrow has better receiving options. Look, I get what everything you're saying and stuff like that, but although Burrow doesn't have the best matchup compared to Dak, look, maybe this is a sign and everything. I'm rolling with Burrow with Chase, Higgins, and everything. So maybe I'm the lone man out, but I'm going Burrow here.
I worry about that pass rush getting to Burrow more this week than what's happened to him in the last few weeks. I think that's where my issue. Like, if you give Burrow the amount of time he needs, yeah, he's going to pick you apart. But the pass rush for the 49ers is still pretty damn good, assuming again that they aren't frauds. So, that's my worry with Burrow.
The Vikings offense ain't the best either and stuff like that. So look, I'm just throwing that out there and stuff like that. So
yep.
Yeah, I think there's a difference in the play style between Cousins and Burrow too, though, because Cousins doesn't care. He doesn't care if he throws 2 or 3 interceptions. He'll force the ball down the field if he has to. Burrow plays with a little bit more caution, and he kind of picks and chooses when he goes deep. So I think for that reason, we're going to see a lot fewer yards than what we saw with Cousins. But definitely the upside with the weapons for sure. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. Wes Wasson says Chris Olave or Zay Flowers versus Arizona. I'll start. I'm just going to say Zay Flowers for the stuff we talked about earlier. PPR machine, and Chris Olave's had his games where he's just disappeared. So I also really love the matchup against Arizona.
Yeah.
Anybody? I saw thumbs up from the 2 guys in the corner. George, how about you?
Yeah, the guy in the corner.
Yeah, Zay Flowers. Cardinals allow the 7th most receptions and 4th most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. Cardinals have allowed at least one wide receiver to go over 89 receiving yards in 5 straight games. He is their clear wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. I'm going Zay Flowers.
All right, Zay Flowers for all 4 of us. Already started Gabe Davis, so congratulations. Help me pick a wide receiver 2 and 2 flexes in the PPR. The wide receiver 2, we've got Higgins, Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, Watson is the wide receiver 2. I'll start again. I'm going to go ahead and say Ayuk. He's been pretty good week in and week out. I don't want to start Deontay, who's hurt with a hamstring. I don't want to start Watson for the reasons we talked about earlier. So for me, the start here, and then Higgins, again, coming back off injury and then wasn't all that great before his injury. So I'm going to start with Ayuk. We'll go with Rich next as far as wide receivers go.
Yeah, I'll make this simple. I'm going Ayuk. I already know where I'm going the other ways, but I know we're answering this one question at a time.
Justin.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ayuk too. I think he has the safest floor of the wide receivers you have available to you.
And George.
I'm going with Street Fighter. Ayuk.
That one went right over my head, but okay.
I'm disappointed that went over your head, Jason. I thought for sure you'd get that.
Listen, I don't know. Anyway,
I still don't get it.
It's a video game reference, and
it's okay. Rich is like, hey, you can.
Mom usually doesn't understand the video game references, so it's okay. So
Pac-Man?
now 2 flexes, Higgins, Jones, Watson, Deontay Johnson. For me, Deontay Johnson's hurt and Watson has been as bad or worse than Higgins, so it's going to be Higgins and Jones for me.
It's Jones and Donta Foreman for me.
Oh, Deontay Foreman. Sorry, I saw either Bears running back. Jones and Deontay Foreman. You're correct.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to.
Same here.
Sorry, forgot that either Bear running back. Obi-Wan Bon Jovi. By the way, I absolutely love that name.
Great name.
That's a winner name right there.
Name of the week, Obi-Wan Bon Jovi. Thank you, sir.
Obi-Wan, hit the subscribe button for me, would you please, sir? Love your name. We need to see your beautiful face here every single Sunday morning.
Well, it says he is torn between Nico Collins and Ramondre Stevenson. So George, because you want to see his beautiful face more, I'm gonna let you open it up.
So I'm gonna go with Nico Collins here. He leads the NFL in yards after the catch per reception. So that's an interesting stat that I found that I liked about Nico Collins. He will see coverage from Deontay Jackson, who Nico Collins has a 5-inch and 40-pound weight advantage on. The passer rating against Jackson is almost the same as if it was me out there trying to cover Nico Collins. The passer rating when targeted, Mr. Jackson gives up 146.3, which is not very good. I love CJ Stroud. He's been just slinging the ball all over the place. He's got his wide receiver one back. I've always said you're playing Nico Collins until Nico Collins remembers he's Nico Collins. He hasn't remembered he's Nico Collins yet. Playing Nico Collins.
I think Nico Collins has played like a man possessed since the offseason. Like he's a guy that's been trying to make this big comeback, and he's done it. Like he's here, and he plays like a guy that still loves the game. Like this is why you go and watch Friday night football at high school stadiums. Like this kid appreciates the game. You know, like I love watching him play. And normally the tie is going to go to the running back for me, but Nico Collins, I feel like in this game, especially with the battle of the rookie quarterbacks trying to show out, because these two quarterbacks are going to be tied together for the rest of their careers, whether they want to or not, whether they like it or not. They were 1 and 2 like in the draft. Like these two quarterbacks will be tied together. And Stroud's going to want to hit his guy early and often. I think Collins has the better floor, and especially in PPR games, I'm going Nico.
Rich, you agree?
Yeah, look, I'm going Nico and stuff like that because only reason why I'm going Nico because he was given to me in Frankenstein when Jamar Chase was stolen from me, and I didn't get to use him live yet because he was on a bye last week. So I need him to put up Jamar Chase kind of numbers this week. So that's why I'm going Nico Collins.
I like it. Love the analysis.
I'm going Nico because I want Rich to have Jamar Chase style numbers from Nico, plus some more selfish. I have a Nico Collins autograph football I got for our charity leagues that I bought. I bought when it was $15 because nobody thought Nico Collins was going to be a thing, and I bought it on speculation that maybe he'd be a thing. That's and now awesome. That he might be a thing, I got a $15 prize that I can put on a more expensive charity league for the kids. So go Nico. Keep going, Nico. Duarte says, thank you. This is an interesting one because we need 3, and there's some decent options here. Nico Collins. So I'm going to drop Deontay Johnson. I don't think any of us with his hamstring are going to say Deontay Johnson. So Nico, Thielen, DJ Moore, Ayuk, and Olave. QB play has me nervous. So need 3 here. Rich, you want to go first?
Yeah, this is easy. I'm dropping Deontay and Olave. We've already talked about Nico and Ayuk, and then I have that feeling for Thielen because he is just a target monster and has been killing it up in North Carolina.
Well, so you have to drop one more, right?
Yeah,
because he only can start 3, so it's
there's 6
DJ
options.
Moore. You got to drop DJ Moore too if you're doing that.
I didn't see the acronym DJ. So, you know what? I'm still rolling with those 3.
Woo!
I love
I'm
Thielen, man. I love Thielen right now, man.
I'm rolling those three as well, and it's DJ Moore's been very good, but Teabag is not throwing past the line of scrimmage. It didn't last week. I don't know that I trust DJ Moore with Teabags throwing him the ball. So I'm happy with Nico, Thielen, and Ayuk here. Justin?
I mean, DJ Moore still had 13.4. He had 8 receptions last week. This is PPR. Like, he's still going to get targeted like crazy. Like, I don't know. That's insane to me. Nico is definitely in for me, and DJ Moore is the obvious one here. He's the wide receiver 6. Like, in every single year, like, it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He's proven this.
Because of 1 week. Look, he's been ecstatic for he's been average, but go back and look at Thielen's and DJ's numbers, stat week to week and stuff like that. Look,
okay, here's DJ Moore's stats. He only had 1 bad week. He's had 16.4, 13.1, 27.1, 49, 10.1, 13.4. So he's been double digits, and he's had 2 100-yard games, a 200-yard game. He's had 3 games where he scored a touchdown. One of them was 3. Like, this dude is phenomenal.
I get it, but this just compare him up to Thielen, how Thielen is doing for the year with the targets that he is getting. Look, I'm taking targets and his opportunity that he's been getting with Bryce Young and everything. And that's the only reason why. I'm not saying it's not a bad choice to go with DJ Moore, but, man, Thielen is just revived being in Carolina.
What's really hurting me here is trying to decide between Ayuk and Thielen and Nico, and knowing that I can't start all 3 of them because DJ Moore is my definite must. Because the 1 week that I didn't start DJ Moore was the week that he blew up for those 3 touchdowns whenever he had a really easy matchup. This is the only matchup that's easier than the matchup that he had where he had 3 touchdowns. So, like, I can't let him bite me in the ass again. So I have to start DJ Moore. And I feel like I have to start Nico because of how much I've been talking him up this week. I hate to say it, but I'm going to bench Ayuk here because I do agree with you on Thielen. 100%. I do agree with you on Thielen. That makes it difficult to bench him. It's just DJ was the obvious one for me. So I'm going to go Thielen, DJ, and Nico. I'm actually going to bench Ayuk. I can't believe I'm saying that.
That's exactly where I'm going as well. It's Nico, Thielen, and DJ Moore. Adam Thielen right now is 7th in the league in touchdowns, 13th in the league in receiving yards. He has exactly 0 drops on the year. And outside of week 1, where he had 2 receptions on 2 targets, outside of week 1 against Atlanta, he hasn't had a single game this season under 7 receptions. New Orleans, he had 7, Seattle 11, Minnesota 7, Detroit 11, Miami 11. Not targets, receptions. Like, he's absolutely balling, like Rich has been saying and Justin's been saying. There's no way you can sit Adam Thielen. You've got to play him. I'll play him over Ayuk every single day. That's a no-brainer. It's Nico, Thielen, and DJ Moore.
All right. Black Body Absorber says, do you think Palmer plays after did not practice this week? QJ, Quentin Johnson, or have we given up any hope for QJ this season? I mean, they may have to use him if Palmer doesn't play. I want to look for other options besides QJ. QJ hasn't been good this season. So if Palmer's not playing, I don't automatically think QJ comes in, Quentin Johnson comes in and plays very well. That's not a given to me. So if you're worried about Palmer playing at all, and none of us know he's a true game time decision, if you're worried about Palmer and you don't have a better option than QJ, then I say you bench Palmer and QJ and you go find something else. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah, and Palmer's Sunday night also, so I'm even less likely to take any chances with that mess. I'm just going to go find another option. I agree with you.
All right. History professor says, my guys, where's Coach? Sunday mornings, Coach is usually doing what his title says. He's off coaching soccer. So that's typically where Coach is this time of the morning on a Sunday. Nate Whalen says, hi, friends. Nate says, Bears good against the run. Better go. Okay, so he's answering other questions. Defense question time. Cleveland or Detroit? I mean, you have to go Cleveland, right?
Yep.
Even when they allow a crap ton of points, like they did last week to the Colts, they score a lot because you get something like Garrett sacking and forcing a fumble in the end zone and getting a touchdown. Like even when they give up a lot of points, they get a lot of points.
This is kind of like
winning the game.
This is kind of like people chasing points and everything and stuff like that. Look, the reason why Bears looked good last week because it was Brian Hoyer playing. It's not Brian Hoyer playing this week and everything. So as much as I teabag Garoppolo, he's still going to put up better numbers than Hoyer did. So.
All right, we've got a second question.
Wait, if this is for this week, though, the Lions do play the Raiders, and Cleveland does have a tougher matchup this week. I don't know.
I'm not. Listen, Myles Garrett single-handedly can take over a game. I'm not. No.
Yeah, he can, and he did. I saw it happen firsthand. I appreciate everybody bringing that back up again, by the way. But I don't know, man. The Raiders are just not good.
They're good options. Cleveland's the better one.
Yeah, I think you guys are probably right. I think I'm still going to lean Cleveland, but you have good options. Carla, it looks like your team's pretty good. If this is all for the same team, then I wouldn't worry about your quarterback play.
All right, and then Ferguson, Thomas, or Schultz this week for tight end. Justin.
I'm going to go Ferguson. I like I'll use Coach's new term. I like the cut of his jib. Here lately, he's actually been catching the ball in the end zone. Yeah, that's right, because Coach is 87 years old.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's not dropping the passes in the red zone like he was early in the season. He's being targeted a lot more. I like the matchup against the Rams. I think I'm going to go with Ferguson this week.
George?
Yeah, I like both of these guys. I wish you could play them both. Obviously, you can only play one. No, there's two. I'm only acknowledging two. Ferguson and Schultz are the only two that I'm acknowledging. I like Ferguson's matchup against the Rams. Rams are 28th against opposing tight ends, which last time I checked is not very good. Ferguson opened the season with almost 9 points a game in 3 of his first 4 games. Struggled the last 2 outings against San Francisco and the Chargers. I still think Ferguson has a decent role. Dak will target the tight end. We've seen him do it in the past. The Rams have allowed 4 tight ends in the past 4 games to score at least 10.2 fantasy points. And those were future Hall of Famers Mo Alley Cox, Kyle Granson, maybe Dallas Goedert. Maybe he actually might get in. And second-year man Trey McBride. So I like the matchup with Ferguson. I'm going to go with Ferguson here.
Rich.
Look, I'm going Schultz. He's ranked in my top 10 and everything. I don't have Ferguson in my top 10. That might be a bad decision, but based off my rankings, I like his matchup. This would be a slam dunk and stuff like that. Schultz, beginning of the season, stuff like that. But the emergence of Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and everything has really hampered his production and stuff like that. But on the same token, he has been getting more involved the last 3 weeks and stuff, and he is getting in the red zone too. So I'm going Schultz.
Yeah, as a Colts fan, I'm hating all of these options that are emerging for the Texans.
So listen, it would be Schultz for me. However, Tank Dell is back. Schultz's big weeks are when Tank Dell's been, off the field. So I do worry that, as Tank Dell comes back, he steals some of what Schultz was doing. So for me, it's going to be Ferguson. But Schultz has been, the last 3 weeks he's played, he was a very good option. So it's just for me that I want to see them both on the field now that Schultz has been playing well, and see if he continues that with Tank Dell actually being back on the field. We asked Black Body Absorber if he was going to the game. He's hoping to go, trying to find a couple of reasonable tickets. In negotiations now. Good day of football and good luck to everyone. Well, good luck in your negotiations.
Wait until about 20 minutes after kickoff. The tickets will be a lot cheaper.
So much cheaper.
I mean, it's true, but
Bobby Ham says, is it me or is it choppy for everyone? We haven't seen any other reports of that. And then some other people are saying it's fine on their end, so it might just be you. Somehow you got George's internet.
I said, did you tap into my Wi-Fi?
He's outside your window right now.
That's the trauma part.
1 PPR. Need 3. Higgins, Dotson, Mingo, Hunter Henry, Komet. With tight end
Also
premium.
tight end
I think I about had a stroke right now when you said that.
Why?
Oh,
Because of the options? Okay. So this clearly isn't the same league as the one that Carla showed us a little bit ago. I refuse to go first on this one.
Yuck.
I'll go first. Listen, T. Higgins is, I think, excuse me, I think T. Higgins, given that she needs 3 of these, and looking at this list, I think T. Higgins is a must go, right?
Yeah.
So now we're down to 2 must goes. Jahan Dotson, like everybody liked him in the preseason, but he hasn't really been very good. But I think given the other options, can we all agree that Dotson's going to be a go? Is it yes, no?
Yeah, I mean, look,
premium though is really weighing in on me.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was going to go with Cole Kmet. I think Kmet was going to be my third. Excuse me. I don't trust Hunter Henry. He's been splitting a lot of time with Mike Gesicki. So I was going to go Dotson, Higgins, and Kmet as my 3.
I can agree with Higgins and Komet for sure. That Dotson one is I'm kind of teetering on Dotson between him and Hunter Henry with the tight end premium. I think that one's close. But Dotson, there's just no consistency in that Washington offense at all. But also Hunter Henry has no consistency this season. He's either going to get you 30 or 0. So I think I you know what, with this team, with what your options are, you probably need high upside. Go ahead and give me the high upside tight end premium. I'll go Komet, Hunter Henry, and Higgins.
Yeah, same here because look, Patriots are playing against Miami's D and everything. So if they do get up big, they're going to be throwing and stuff. So I like Hunter Henry out of the other options.
I'll go with the 2 tight ends just not to tie it up because I was leaning Dotson. But, again, to not make it a tie here, well, I'll go Higgins, Henry, and Komet because it is gross, but sometimes you got to choose between the gross. That's why we're here. Purdy or Stroud, 6-point passing touchdowns. Asking because of all the positive Purdy talk. For me, this is Stroud. Playing against, he's looked good, although he's back down to earth a little bit the last couple of games. He's playing the Panthers. The Panthers are the worst team in football, and they've been bad against the pass. So it's Stroud for me.
Yeah, look, if Debo was in, maybe I'd lead Purdy and stuff like that, but I'm going Stroud too.
Yeah, most weeks it's Purdy. This week it's Stroud.
I absolutely agree. Stroud scored 18.2 fantasy points in 4 of his past 5 games, including 3 outings with at least 24.6 fantasy points. He's been chucking the ball. He's been fantastic all year long. The Carolina is 14th against opposing quarterbacks, which is middle of the pack, but I'm still going to go with Stroud here.
All right. I got to address this one. Comparing Swift to Williams is lazy. At least Swift flashed. Had a bunch of injuries and coaches moved to a rotation because kept him healthy. And look, even when healthy last year, they didn't use Swift. We all complained about it, just like they didn't use Gibbs when they had a different style running back this year, and we all wanted more from Gibbs. Like that coaching staff just has problems using some of their talent sometimes. I get what you're saying, but you're saying Jamison Williams hasn't been injured? You're saying he hasn't been off the field with it's not lazy. It's almost the exact same situation. They're underutilizing talent. They're bad at utilizing pass catching running backs. You're seeing it again. You'll see it again with Gibbs when Montgomery comes back. They were bad with it. We all thought pound the table for Gibbs. He's the 12th overall pick, just like we were pound the table for Swift. And they keep finding reasons to give the ball to somebody like Montgomery, who's been playing great. They find
who's been
give the ball to Jamal Williams, who wasn't a good running back. They're not good at using the talent they draft. But that's
they're very good at using the talent they draft because they draft their talent to use them in a specific role. Swift was never a goal line back. He wasn't big enough. He wasn't big enough to be a goal line back in college. Now you want him to come to the pros and be a goal line back in the pros? No, that's never going to happen. He's not big enough. They signed David Montgomery, who last time I checked, David Montgomery, a couple 1,000-yard seasons under his belt, a very good running back. They had Jamal Williams there last year. He's the bigger bruiser. He's the better short line and goal line back. All he did last year, they used him. He scored touchdowns. The people who want Gibbs to get more touches are people like you, Jason, who drafted Jahmyr Gibbs way too damn high.
Everybody wants Gibbs.
Every Gibbs owner wants him used more. Everybody else looks at it objectively and says, you know what? What they're doing works. David Montgomery is a really good running back. Why would they not use a really good running back that they paid a lot of money to in the offseason to come in and play? Like that would be even worse.
Because they wasted a 12 overall pick.
That argument you can make, but you can't make the argument that they should automatically give Gibbs the touches because he was the 12th overall pick. That's not true. There are certain things Gibbs is not very good at. One of them is being a goal line back. He's not big enough.
They're not just giving David Montgomery the ball on the goal line. They're giving it to him between the 20s.
He's good with it, and he's been crushing it between the 20s too. It's not like he's been playing garbage between the 20s. He hasn't. He's been good. Why would you take a good running back off the field? You don't. You give him the opportunity.
Justin, your grandma says hello.
Hi, Grandma. Love you.
Is she watching, Steve?
I'm sure she can hear it in the background. If Steve's still watching after that long rant, who knows?
DeMarcado or Michael Thomas, full PPR? I'm going to start with George.
Oh, give me DeMarcado. I'll go DeMarcado here.
I'm going Michael Thomas. What has Mercado done? Look, he's been thrown in on questions the last 2-3 weeks and stuff like that. But what literally has he done and stuff like that? I'm staying away from him.
So Michael Thomas scares me because he is questionable right now with an illness. Obviously, he's probably still going to play, but I mean, if you're playing on an illness, it's kind of like a tiebreaker. DeMarcado actually didn't play horrible last week, and this week he gets Baltimore, who are. I mean, yeah, that's a good defense. Baltimore's a good defense. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a deceptive good when it comes to the running game because they're still 18th against opposing running backs. If a team's going to be able to move the ball on the Ravens, it's going to be on the ground. But man, this I feel like it's going to be close to a tie for me, and I'm going to probably go with DeMarco on this one. Or Mercado, whatever.
Yeah, I think I'll probably. I'm almost like Justin was with Sutton, where it's never Michael Thomas, at least in the more recent years. I'm probably going to say DeMarcado here too, just because Michael Thomas has a really limited ceiling and is sick. So I think I'm going to say DeMarcado here.
And if Thomas isn't sick, then I would have said Thomas without hesitation. So I guess if we get closer to game time and they say he's 100%, he's feeling great, he's going to play, he'll be fine, then I would switch that to Thomas. But if they're still like, yeah, he's still not feeling that great, he's probably going to play, but limited role or whatever, then I'm switching to DeMarcado.
All right. Jordan says Najee Hunt or Bourne for my final flex spot. And as of right now, Jerome Ford is questionable with that ankle sprain. So he hasn't been ruled out. If that makes the decision for you guys any easier or harder as far as it goes with Hunt. So Najee, Hunt, or Bourne, and I am going to start with Rich.
I'm going Najee. Look, if Najee and Hunt, it could go either way and stuff like that. Look, I'm just leaning Najee. If Ford does play at all and stuff like that, he's going to have opportunity. But Najee hasn't been the best. But look, I'm rolling with them.
Justin.
Hunt has scored 12 points less than Najee on the season. and he missed the first 2 games and has already had his bye week. Well, I think Steelers had their bye week, so two less games, and he only has 12 less points. Najee is just bad. I can't trust that backfield. Bourne has been overperforming lately. I think I'm going to go Hunt. I think these are some ugly options here, but I think I'm going to go with Hunt on the. Even if Ford plays, I don't see him playing on a full workload. So give me Hunt.
George.
Yeah, for me, it's Kareem Hunt. Excuse me. Even if Jerome Ford plays, I don't think he will. But even if he does play, it's Kareem Hunt is their starting running back. He scored 15.1 PPR fantasy points in each of his past 2 games against the 49ers and the Colts. The Browns have had a running back score at least 16.1 PPR fantasy points in 5 of 6 games this season. Seattle has also allowed a running back to score at least 11.5 PPR points in 5 of 6 games this year. The Seattle, they're 10th against opposing running backs, which is, top of the league. They're top 10 because they're, number 10. But I think Kareem Hunt is going to be the play here. Like, I don't trust Najee Harris at all. And trusting Kendrick Bourne is so difficult.
And I'm going to go with 2 of the 3 of these guys, and I'm going to say Hunt as well. So 3 for Hunt and 1 for Najee. Let's see. It's T. Baggins. I guess that's Bilbo's cousin.
No.
I like bacon orange better than that.
We're trying too hard there.
Lori says hi. The lovely Lori. Hi, Lori.
Love you, babe.
Let's see. And then I think that's because Rich said Burrow. This was a while back.
He was the one that chose Burrow, so Rich is now her favorite.
Let's see. Get to a question. I've got Jay Palmer in the late game Sunday, and he's questionable. I don't have any viable options if he doesn't play. Would you drop Tutu for Michael Mayer as a backup plan?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I think that seems like a solid option.
So real quick on Michael Mayer, Detroit has allowed 30 to 65 yards or a score to 10 tight ends on the season. Now, I'm not a math guy. I'm told there's no math on the show, but I don't think they've even played 10 games this season. Nope. And they've allowed 10 different tight ends to score anywhere between 30 to 65 yards or a touchdown. Tight ends average 63 yards per game against Detroit. So yeah, I would even pick up Michael Mayer. And if you're watching and you're struggling at the tight end and you need a flyer, like if Mayer's available, go ahead and get him and throw him in the lineup.
That's
he's a viable tight end this week.
That was the best stat I've ever heard you say, George. That's hilarious.
Krana Shaw says, no Debo, and my options are Wandell, Josh Reynolds, or Miko Hardman. And
Michael Mayer.
Go ahead, Justin.
I'm trying to look up something with Wandell real quick.
While he's looking him up, look, shout out to Mr. Kranya Shah and one of our newest title members in the Gilded and everything. So I'm going to take this opportunity for everybody that is on the show and everything, to all our new members and everything. Hey, appreciate you jumping in and hopping in on here, but also being active in the Gilded chat and stuff like that. And for those who are not, hey, go over there, hit us up and stuff like that. Get in this active chat that we have.
All right, guys, we have a bunch of questions left with like 9 minutes to go. So
with the Wandell thing, he does have a really tough matchup this week. When it comes to Reynolds, like the one thing that Jameson Williams has done is take away a few snaps from Reynolds, making it more difficult there. Mecole Hardman, I feel like they brought him back for a reason. I think they're going to utilize him more as the season goes. It's just hard to trust him just yet. Honestly, flip a coin. If there's nothing else out there on your waiver wire, then I guess give me Josh Reynolds. He's the one guy that might be more consistently involved in the game.
The Raiders have allowed 18 catches and 141 yards to outside wide receivers the last 2 games. Reynolds has had 50 or more yards in 5 of 6 games on the season. Reynolds has a 57% of the team's end zone targets as well. go with Josh Reynolds here.
I agree. And then Bobby Ham drafted the Saints D in 2 of my teams. And I still have them, but managed to acquire the Browns on one and the Ravens on the other. Are the Saints worth holding?
No. I like the Saints defense, but no, you don't want to take up 2 of those roster spots or 2 roster spots with the defense if you don't have to.
I mean, this always boils down to what's on your waiver wire, right? But it to me, there's got to be something better than holding a second defense.
Yeah,
Well,
if you have a deep bench, I'm holding on to him. But if you don't, because it's going to be very far and few in between that you're starting Saints over Browns, maybe Ravens defense. But look, Browns already had their bye and stuff like that, and depending on matchup, I'm basically going to be starting Browns defense every week from here on out.
And I definitely don't want to hold. I don't want to hold the Saints for a Week 13 Ravens bye. I'll just stream that week. But I don't want to hold. I don't want to hold them for 5 more weeks.
I don't know. I think it depends on the scoring format. If defenses score a lot, I have no problem with holding 2 defenses, just like I would 2 tight ends in a 1 tight end league. Depending on the scoring format. So if I have 2 great quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league, I'm probably still going to go ahead and hold on to them. So why not if defenses score a lot? So, and I only say that because these are 3 really good options. The Saints right now are currently the defense 4 in most leagues that I'm seeing. So it's kind of difficult to just drop them. Maybe look and see if you can trade them to somebody, even if you get a flexible wide receiver. Like at least that's somebody that you can fill in there. You don't want to just drop them. I feel.
All right. Chad Roan says, help with start standard flex. Who to start? Madison, Hunt, Dell, Olave, or Roshan Johnson. Can have one of the RBs as RB2 as well.
For me, it's going to be Hunt and Dell are the 2 I'm going with.
I can't disagree with that.
I'm good there as well. Rich gives the thumbs up. Let's see. Bobby's just bragging that the Jordan Love team is 6-1. He's got Amon-Ra and AJ Brown. Sure, but if he had a great quarterback, he'd probably be 7-0.
You know what Amon-Ra and AJ Brown do? They like bacon over ham.
They do.
But that just proves my point, though, from earlier, Robert, is the quarterback doesn't matter in a 1 quarterback league. So why hold 2 of them that don't matter?
Yep.
Exactly.
In Frankenstein, Ford is back. Do I put him in over Stevenson?
No, don't do that.
No, because you don't know if he's actually back and Hunt's already there. So if Ford re-injures himself, very possible he goes out there and hurts himself again early, and then you don't have anybody. Justin, I see your hands moving.
I was just fidgeting. I would go with Stevenson as well. But while you guys are moving on, I want to look to see if the fantasy doctors have an update on Ford as well, as far as the possibility of re-injury, since you mentioned it.
All right, and then Rich.
Hey, yeah, Stevenson. Let's move on.
Yeah, moderate likelihood of re-injury for Jerome Ford.
See, I'm not a doctor, but I play one every Sunday morning. Pick 3: Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, Jordan Addison, Brandon Ayuk, Rashee Rice. This
how's bragging camp going, Brian?
It's the first 3.
yeah, it's the first 3.
I'm all in on the first 3. Laporta's on bye next week. Who's a stash for next week? Njoku versus Arizona, Logan Thomas at New England, Schultz versus Tampa Bay, McBride at Cleveland, please and thank you.
Jason, how good is Tampa against tight ends? Because I feel like they're not very good.
No, they've been top 5, and they've played some good ones.
Okay.
They've played Goddard. So last week they were top 5. I didn't really look at the tight ends because they already played.
Yeah.
And they were bad this week with Kincaid, so I'm sure they've fallen. But they've played some good tight ends and held them down. So like they've been good on the season. You've got Levante David and Devin White covering, so typically okay. I mean, look, Njoku for the matchup, I guess. How's New England against tight ends? Anybody?
Guys, Njoku sucks. Can we just agree? Like he always has. He always will. Like every offseason, everybody makes excuses like he's going to be. He has scored as a tight end 2 or better 11 times in his entire career. The guy sucks. He's not a football player. He's not a tight end. You need a tight end, and Njoku's not a tight end.
He's a football
Logan-
player, but he's
Logan-
not a fantasy football player.
Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas against New England. New England is, I think, 24th right now. 24th against tight ends, averaging 10.6. So go Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
All right. Flex 1, Higgins or Watson? Higgins for me.
Yep.
Yeah, Higgins.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on Higgins. I'm just super low on Watson.
Correct.
Yeah, there's too many options that we don't know about.
Pickens or Waddle in a PPR league?
Waddle. He torched New England the last time that they played because New England focused so much on taking the Dolphins. So I would go with Waddle here.
Yeah, I like the matchup for Pickens as since Deontay's back. He gets that second coverage on a lot of plays, but I still can't start him over Waddle.
Agree.
And agree. Brandon Williams says, morning fellas, start Ross, Carr, or Minshew. Carr's got a great matchup. I'm going with Carr.
Yeah, I would go with Carr as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't disagree with it.
Justin's grandma is not watching him. And then Lori says, please tell grandma hi and I love her. So we're getting that on the show. Now you want to talk about
all grandmas are pretty awesome. Like my grandma's better.
Well, yours is still alive, so I feel like you win. Joe Clark says, need 3 out of these. Pacheco, Saquon, Henry, Mostert, Gibbs. I feel like this is another one of those. Welcome to the bragging club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, it's got to be, for me, it's going to be Pacheco, Saquon, and Mostert.
It's Saquon and Mostert for sure for me, but I'll have to look at something between Pacheco and Henry.
I'm going to go. I'm agreeing with Jason here. Pacheco, Saquon, and Mostert.
Henry's playing the Falcons, who's the number 3 rush against defense, where Pacheco's playing the worst in the league, Denver Broncos.
Well, it was the snow too that I was considering, and that kind of helps in Pacheco's favor as well. It is still an issue there right now, so I'll go Pacheco as well.
Is Montgomery playing? Has anybody heard anything yet on him?
Montgomery's not playing.
Okay, Gibbs is playing against the Raiders Monday night.
That's a good
Does
point.
that not persuade you guys at all?
It's pretty good, but like Pacheco against the Broncos, like the only one you could potentially sit here is Saquon, but the Jets are terrible against running backs too. So
Now,
I mean,
look, I'm high on Pacheco, but there's also McKinnon, CH.
Yeah, that I disagree with. Their other running back options suck, and Pacheco's. I mean, he's really performed pretty well. He's kind of proven that.
I like Pacheco, which is it's Gibbs against the Raiders.
No,
I'm going to go Pacheco. I'm going to go Pacheco, Mostert, and Gibbs. You got me, Rich. I didn't realize the Lions were playing the Raiders. I forgot.
So
Pacheco, Mostert, and Gibbs.
Man, I can't bench Saquon if he's playing.
Neither can Joe.
Well, I couldn't either. But when you have these options, I'm going Pacheco, Mostert, and Gibbs.
You know what? We can move on because it really doesn't matter. Like, other than Henry, who could still have a good game, he's got a bad matchup. So for me, he's like the auto not start here. And I feel like all these other options are going to be good. It doesn't matter. So you've got options. Good job, Joe. I mean, I know you want the most.
Joe, you're don't waste questions. Let's say that for our Title Tribe members.
Brandon Williams, can you set my full lineup? Laugh out loud. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Wide receiver, Garrett, Downs, Sutton, Palmer, Deontay, Lockett, JSN. RB options, Aaron Jones, Bijan, Mostert. I mean, so 2 running backs and a flex. I'm doing Jones, Bijan, and Mostert. And now we need 2 wide receivers of this mess.
You'd play Bijan over JT?
Yeah, I'm starting Jones. JT.
Oh, I'm sorry, JT. I'm sorry, JT's there. I didn't.
I'm gonna go Bijan, JT, and Mostert for the running back.
Yeah.
And the flex.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't see JT there.
And then the wide receiver, I'm gonna go Josh Downs.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson.
Ooh. I'm gonna go Josh Downs and JSN. Never Garrett Wilson.
I'm going to agree with Garrett Wilson. He plays the Giants this week. They're 20th against wide receivers. There's big play potential there, and he's the only option they have for a big play potential outside of Hall. So,
Hey, you know who doesn't make big plays? Zach Wilson.
That's not true.
That's not true at all. He had that 75-yard touchdown to Garrett Wilson just a few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago, and that was the one and only time he's done anything all season.
Yeah, but it's okay. The Giants. It'll happen again today.
The Giants the last 2 weeks have been surprisingly good on defense. I don't know if they're figuring anything out. I don't know where Rich went. I don't know why Rich. I don't know if Rich called.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
George, we don't have time.
Yeah,
we got questions, and it's 33 after. So
that's okay.
Brandon Wilson, Downs or Deontay?
Brandon Wilson, Downs or Deontay? Brandon Williams. Yeah. I was trying to figure out who Brandon Wilson was. Okay.
I'm going to go with Josh Downs here.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Thanks, man. Let's see. Great show. See you next week. And Joku stinks. Thanks all. Miles Sanders or Drake London or Tank Dell? I'm going to say Drake London. I'm going to surprise everybody.
That is a bit of a surprise, but London has been playing extremely well. Give me Tank Dell just so that George has to make a decision.
That's fine. I'm looking up. So Drake London should be lined up with Kristen Fulton. Fulton has allowed a 133 passer rating when targeted and 16.4 yards per reception. One way you can beat the Titans is definitely through the air. You cannot really run on them. And they just traded their all-pro, all-world safety Kevin Byard to the Eagles. So I'm going to go with Drake London.
Meanwhile, team, stop giving the Eagles freaking weapon. Like, stop it. Giving your best players. Anyway, Sanders or DeWanta Foreman? I'm going to say DeWanta Foreman. Sanders is coming back off injury and going to be sharing time with Chuba Hubbard.
I agree.
All right. Here's some thank yous. We had a bunch of thank yous up above, too. I'm sorry if I didn't mention it, but we are running a little bit late. So I do want to get to the questions we may have. This is who he's going with. Let's see. My son is still watching and sad that you left the chat.
Did Joe just answer his own question?
He did.
Yeah,
he says
Hence the reason why I said why waste that question when we could save it for Title Tribe members.
Well, this is why, because Joe says he's a Title Tribe member
and a Patreon supporter.
And a Patreon.
All right, Joe, I'll give you that.
And then one more. This is our final question. Krana Shah says, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, but I feel like I'm close. Ridley or Garrett Wilson in a PPR?
Garrett Wilson.
Calvin Ridley. And I'm not going to do it for time, but I will send you a $5 rival. It'll be our rival of the week. And Justin, I'll let you plug rival here in a minute, but it'll be our $5 Ridley versus Garrett Wilson between me and Rich.
I'm going Ridley.
I'm going Wilson. Giants defense averages 6 receptions and 91 yards to opposing wide receiver ones. There's no doubt Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver one of that team.
He's just not a wide receiver one. So Joe said, I don't think the Giants see as a fluke. A lot has fallen into place, and that's what I was saying. Yeah. And then he also mentioned he listened, then made his choice like a good listener should. So thank you for that, Joe, for listening to us. And then Eli mentioned that Rich has rejoined the chat, and I do want my son to be the last comment because he watched all the way through for some reason instead of going right back to playing his games. So thank you for watching your dad on a Sunday. I love you, buddy. And we are with that. Justin, why don't you talk about rival fantasy sports here? And
I have about 37 lineups to set here, so I'm going to make it quick. JoinRival.com/Title Tribe. Your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched, plus an additional $25 for free just for using that link. JoinRival.com/Title Tribe for the newest evolution in fantasy sports betting.
So I do want to mention thank you for all of our listeners who jumped in and asked questions. Thank you for our new listeners to jump in and ask questions. If you are listening for the first time and you haven't, please like and subscribe. You can go to toiletstitles.com and you can see rankings okay. Would anyone start Deontay over Henry? Nope. You can go to toiletstyles.com. You can get the rankings that Rich and I put out. There's articles that go on there. You can see our videos on there as well. You can go to S.
He's still going to get the last word in, Bobby. Or I mean, Brandon.
You can go. You can
Jason
go,
is still off his game.
You can go in. You can go to Twitter and see us at Toilets to Titles. Again, our gilded chat. Our gilded chat. You can email toiletstitles@gmail.com and we will get you into our gilded chat, which has over 250 members talking about football all the time. And again, Patreon. We have levels at $1.50 on up. We have a level for every salary. So please join us on Patreon. Give a little bit back, and that's what allows us to do the giveaways we're doing. Kind of like we're doing with the cooler that we're giving away. So with that, guys, I hope you guys have a great week. For George, Justin, myself, and Rich, thank you for everything this week, and we will see you next week.